Imagine waking up one morning as mayor of London, grabbing your tea, scrolling through the news, and discovering that a prestigious think tank has just published a report essentially saying your entire operation needs a political babysitter. Not just any babysitter, mind you, but an official opposition mayor with their own office, their own budget, and their own mission to fact-check every single thing you do. And the person most likely to fill that role? Susan Hall, the woman who has made criticizing you her full-time occupation. Welcome to Sadiq Khan's week, and honestly, it is absolutely glorious political theater. Welcome to Westminster, where your past is never really past and your enemies never forget. If you are loving this, hit that subscribe button. Over 92% of viewers have not yet. It is free, takes a second, and means the world to us. Thanks if you did. Now, back to the show. So here's what has actually happened, and trust me, the reality is somehow more entertaining than any political satire could ever be. Restate, a think tank that clearly woke up one morning and chose violence, has dropped an absolute bombshell of a report on London's governance. And when I say bombshell, I mean the kind that sends shockwaves through City Hall and has Reform UK practically doing victory laps around Westminster. The report's central thesis is beautifully simple and devastatingly brutal. London's democracy is broken. The mayor has too much unchecked power, and the London Assembly is about as effective at holding him accountable as a chocolate teapot at a summer barbecue. Their solution? Create an opposition mayor role, an actual official position for someone whose entire job description would be to follow Sadiq Khan around politically and say, "Are you absolutely sure about that, mate?" It's like having your worst critic given government funding and an office 2 doors down from yours. The psychological warfare potential alone is extraordinary. Now, let us talk about who would fill this delightful new position under the current political landscape. Susan Hall, leader of the City Hall conservative group, and someone who has been Khan's nemesis for so long that their rivalry could have its own Netflix documentary series. Hall has spent years critiquing Khan's policies on everything from crime to transport to housing, and now there's a genuine proposal that would make her critique not just legitimate opposition, but an actual governmental function with resources and authority. The irony is so thick you could spread it on toast. Khan has spent his mayoralty dealing with Hall's criticism from what he probably considered a comfortable distance, and now there's a serious suggestion that she should be given institutional power to make that criticism even more effective. You cannot write this stuff. But here's where it gets properly interesting, because this is not just about personalities or political point scoring. Restate's report is actually making some genuinely substantial arguments about democratic accountability that deserve serious attention. They have looked at how other major global cities operate, compared them to London, and essentially concluded that London is stuck in a governance structure that made sense decades ago, but is woefully inadequate for a modern megacity. The report points to New York, Berlin, Tokyo, and Toronto as examples of cities where assemblies have stronger opposition-based accountability mechanisms. These are not minor cities we're talking about. These are global powerhouses that have figured out how to balance mayoral authority with robust scrutiny. The implication is clear and rather damning. If those cities can do it, why can't London? Simon Kay, Restate's Director of Policy and Research, didn't mince words when he characterized the current London Assembly as little more than a talking shop. That's the kind of assessment that stings because it contains just enough truth to be genuinely uncomfortable. The report goes further, declaring the Assembly is too weak to adequately scrutinize the Mayor of London, and adding that this is a problem right now because the Mayor of the United Kingdom's largest city is being insufficiently held to account. Let that sink in for a moment. London has nearly 9 million people. Its economy is larger than entire nations. It's one of the world's most important cities, and according to this report, its mayor is not being properly scrutinized by the democratic institutions supposedly designed for exactly that purpose. Whether you love Khan or despise him, that should concern you, because accountability is not about partisan politics. It's about good governance. Now, this is the point where Reform UK enters the story, like a wrestler bursting through the ropes with their entrance music blaring. Reform has been calling for Khan to resign for what feels like forever. They have hammered him on crime statistics, transportation failures, housing crises, and pretty much every policy area you can imagine. So when a respected think tank publishes a report that essentially validates their concerns about accountability and scrutiny, they're not going to let that opportunity slip away quietly. This is political ammunition delivered directly to their doorstep in a gift-wrapped package with a bow on top. Reform's response has been predictably enthusiastic, using the report to amplify their existing calls for Khan to step down, and arguing that the proposed reforms prove their criticisms have been justified all along. But wait, there's more, because Restate didn't stop at just proposing an opposition mayor. Oh no, they went full revolution. The think tank is also recommending that London's 32 boroughs be consolidated into as few as 10 local authorities. Read that again. 32 down to 10. That's not reorganization. That's political Thanos-level restructuring. Just snap your fingers and more than 2/3 of London's borough councils vanish into administrative history. Imagine being a councillor in one of the smaller boroughs and waking up to discover your entire local authority is about to be merged into Super Borough Mega Unit 7 or whatever Orwellian name they come up with. Your business cards become obsolete overnight. Your carefully cultivated local political identity gets absorbed into something 3 times the size. It's organizational chaos on a scale that would make management consultants weep with either joy or horror, possibly both simultaneously. The reasoning behind this radical consolidation is actually quite logical, even if the implementation would be nightmarishly complex. Restate argues that the current 32 borough arrangement gets in the way of delivering policy and services efficiently. They contend that reducing the number of local authorities would bring London's population distribution into alignment with councils elsewhere in England, whilst also giving borough leaders formal seats on the assembly. In theory, this creates stronger, more effective local government with better resources and clearer accountability. In practice, it would require navigating a political minefield so dense that it makes Brexit negotiations look like a casual disagreement about biscuit preferences. Every borough has its own identity, its own political culture, its own priorities. Merging them would require consensus building on a heroic scale. And frankly, British politics is not exactly renowned for its collaborative spirit these days. The fiscal dimension of Restate's proposals adds another layer of complexity and controversy. The think tank is urging a significant transfer of fiscal powers to City Hall, enabling London to keep a greater share of revenues generated within its boundaries. Currently, huge amounts of money generated in London flow to central government, which then redistributes it according to national priorities. Restate is essentially arguing for a more federalized model, where London controls more of its own finances. It's the political equivalent of a teenager arguing they should manage their own bank account because they're responsible now. Honest, Mom, you can trust me. The comparison might sound flippant, but the underlying principle is serious. Many major cities worldwide have substantial fiscal autonomy. They raise money locally and spend it locally according to local priorities. Whether that model would work for London is genuinely debatable, and the debate would be fierce. Thanks for watching Westminster Brief. If you made it this far, you're a legend. See you in the next one.